What do you get when a Japanese car maker tries to sneak around a weird tariff on foreign pickup trucks? Well, you get one of the strangest little car truck hybrids that's ever been produced. In the late 1970s, Subaru was eager to get into the market for light trucks. They were becoming extremely popular in America and in Australia, and it seemed like there was an opening to gain a new foothold in foreign markets. So they chopped the back roof off one of their Leon station wagons and turned it into an El Camino style ute. The problem was America's weird quote-unquote chicken tax that hit a variety of imports, including light trucks with a 25% tariff. So Subaru decided to try and run around the tax man by welding two seats into the cargo bed and calling it a passenger car, not a light truck. And it was just barely confusing enough that regulators looked at the car stumped and agreed. This bizarre utility vehicle was called the Brat. Now, the Brat moniker isn't actually about being small and whiny. Whether they came up with the acronym before or after the name is something that we'll never know. But Subaru claimed that Brat stood for Bi-Drive Recreational All-Terrain Transporter. But when faced with that bizarre mouthful, most people didn't say the full name, and Brat just made a lot more sense. So what was the Brat like? Well, unlike a lot of shots in the dark in the time when it came to automakers, the Brat was actually a surprisingly competent little car that basically everyone who got their hands on one seemed to like. Of all the reviews I looked at, they were pretty positive, even the ones that had been written when the car was new. The Brat had a very short wheelbase, just under 97 inches, and from the front quarter view it looked a lot like a Japanese notchback coupe at first glance. It had a fairly sedated front end with a squared off design with just an ever so slight peak in the hood. A few mild lines stretched from front to the back, providing a bit of style to it. Now, the first generation Brats from 78 to 81 had two pairs of round headlights, and they looked very German inspired. You could even get them with optional T-tops or target tops in some model years, which made this confused little truck just super out there. But from the front it looked normal. The thing is, as soon as you got around the back towards the bed sides, you would see the uncovered cargo bed and the rear facing plastic seats. Then you'd see the almost comical side handles on those rear seats, and then if you stared a little bit longer, you would realize the car had almost 9 inches of ground clearance. Now suddenly, as you start to piece all this together, the car looks less like a basic European sedan and more like something entirely different. Whatever quirkiness and flaws the Subaru Brat had, one thing that nobody contested in period or now was that it was an incredible car for inclement weather. And even light to medium off-roading, it was fairly competent. It was not a speed demon by any means, but it had the power and drivetrain to obey one of the most basic rules of off-roading, and that was to keep moving until you're on solid ground. So what was under the hood of the Subaru Brat besides the spare tire? And yes, I'm not joking, they also decided to store the spare tire there for some odd reason. Well, the first engine in the Brat from 1978 to 1980 was a 1.6 liter H4. Think of it like a Beetle engine except a water-cooled version. That engine made 65 horsepower at 5,200 RPM and 80 foot-pounds of torque at 2,400 RPM. That engine preferentially drove the front wheels, but also had a transfer case leading to a